In the previous video, we talked about the basic notes and how to represent it. In this video, I'm going to talk about the notes that I haven't really covered yet. Those are accidentals. So accidentals are those black notes that you see on a piano, right? So we've talked about just the basic ones, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on, right? But we didn't, so those are all white notes. But there's also another thing on the piano, black notes, and it's on any instrument for that matter. But in the piano especially, we see these distinctly. Those are black notes, and they can have multiple names. But for now, I'm just going to talk about those two names. So for each black note, you can call it a sharp or a flat. Now, why do they have two names? Well, it's usually just for simplicity when you're referring to it in an order or after another note. But we'll get more into that later. For now, all you need to know are the names. So if you look here, this is the C note. The next note, the black note that follows it, is called C sharp or D flat. C sharp because it's a little sharper than C, and D flat because it's a little flatter or lower than D. Same thing for this note. The D sharp is a little sharper than D, and E flat's a little flatter than D. Sorry, E. But what about here? There is no black note. Well, that just means E sharp, like, because we've had C sharp, D sharp, the sharp, something that's sharper than E would just be F, because there is no black note. It's the same thing here. The thing that's a little sharper than B is just C. And something that's a little flatter than C is B. Right? Because there's nothing lower, it's just B. Again, here, F flat would just be E. And it just goes on, right? F, F sharp, or G flat, and then G, G sharp, or A flat, and it just keeps going, right? And another thing to notice, after this note is also a C sharp note, right? It just keeps going. This is C, C, and it's just an octave higher. Now, another thing to note when we talk about accidentals are these two terms, semitone and tone. To start with semitone, a semitone is pretty simple. Semitones are just direct, intervals. So if you had C, then C sharp would be a semitone higher, because it's the note that's directly above C. It could also be directly below a note. For example, C sharp to D is a semitone. They're they're literally right next to each other, right? But in the case of a tone means you're going to skip one note and go to the next. So C, skip C sharp, D. C to D is a tone apart. D, skip D sharp to E is a tone apart. Now what about here? There's no black note, but we should keep the concept in mind. We're skipping one note and going to the next. So E, skip F, F sharp is also a tone. E to F sharp is a tone. You can also say F sharp to G sharp is a tone, because you're going from F sharp, you're skipping G, and to G sharp. Now, another thing is, a semitone is also this E to F, because it's directly next to each other. Same thing with B and C. So that's tones and semitones. Now we're going to look into how to represent this. So we saw that, if hopefully you remember, and if not, you should try to memorize these. It's really important. But for now, we know that this note, this is the F note, right? Because it's in the space F-A-C-E, F. Now we have this other symbol, right? And you might have recognized it from this sharp. So basically, this just means that this whole thing is F sharp. The F sharp note, which was this. It's also G flat, but right now we've represented it as F sharp. We're still talking about this black note. So whenever you see this, you should be playing this black note. Here we have a different symbol. This looks a little like a B, but it's kind of pointed. So this is a flat. You're calling it F flat. Now hopefully you remember, there is no actual black note, but E can also be called F flat. So here you would be playing an E, this E note, or basically F flat. Now what about this? We didn't see this symbol before, but this is actually called a natural. So this whole note would be F natural, and that just means you just play whatever note was like the actual note. So this is just F. You're not changing anything. You're not flattening it or sharpening it. This is just F. And you may be like, why do we even need that symbol? Well, it's usually just to avoid confusion in case you've already written, like in the previous note in the melody, in case you had F flat, and now you wanted to play F, you would say that this is a natural F so that people know that you're talking about playing an F and not an F flat. But just to clarify, you would be playing this note whenever you saw this natural sign. It's just an F. And now we move on to this full list of all the notes. Now you don't have to memorize it. It's pretty straightforward. You see this is the C note, right? So the middle C, remember on your piano, it's the middle C. And then if you just put a sharp to the left of it, another thing to remember, it's always to the left, right? Never to the right, because that's confusing. This is just the convention. So it's always to the left of the note, which makes it a C sharp. This is D, D sharp, E. Remember, there is an E sharp, which is just F. So you might as well just write F. It's easier. And then F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. There's B sharp, which is basically C, but let's just call it C. And here, this is the flat version. And again, just so you're not confused, there is no F flat, it's just E. There's no C flat, it's just B. So hopefully you can take some time, you can look at this, you can pause the video. This is very important for you to just get a hang of, understanding how you write these notes and how you would play it whenever you saw them. So that's that for this video. Hopefully it's all clear. If not, you can leave a comment below. So, thanks.